Good morning, Arca family. My name is Mr. Hanks. Welcome. We are rolling through Unit 3, Chapter 3. 3 lessons left in this chapter. That means test coming up soon. All right, so this lesson is the Great Migration and rising tensions as well. And we're going to analyze the political, social, cultural, and economic effects of events and developments during the early 20th century in the United States. All right, so our bell ringer for the day. Of course, in 7th grade, you did discuss KKK and the Ku Klux Klans terrorizing the South and everything, trying to, stop African American freedmen from actually, having their rights and everything like that. And we're going to kind of see a resurgence of them in the 1920s as well. So maybe we returned a little bit too much for the normal of that political climate. So some sensitive stuff in this one. So what does the Ku Klux Klan's march down Pennsylvania Avenue in 1926 suggest about the social and political climate in the United States at that time? And our reading for the day is the Great Migration and growing racial tensions. My God. All right. So we see that the Ku Klux Klan initially began as a secret organization in the South following the Civil War. Its original aim was to intimidate African American people through acts of violence. Over time, the Klan's influence fluctuated, but the 1920s saw kind of a resurgence for them. The Ku Klux Klan had a march down Pennsylvania Avenue, really shows their resurgence and visibility in the 1920s. They were not ashamed to be out in public. It was revived mostly in 1950 and expanded its agenda beyond its original post. So we're kind of seeing it in the South and the North now. And we're going to kind of see who they're targeting isn't just African Americans anymore. They're targeting immigrants, Catholics, Jews. You got to remember, they only supported really Anglo-Saxon whites. The 1926 march involving thousands of Klan members exemplified the alarming level and influence and acceptance the KKK had garnered in certain sectors of American society at that time. March to the Capitol was a bold display of the Klan's strength and attempt to assert its presence in national politics. All right, so we're going to see this group walking around terrorizing more people. You're going to see a lot more of the racial things, like in Hollywood, people performing in blackface, making fun of African Americans, stuff that is not tolerated today and everything like that. President Woodrow Wilson, who served from 1913 to 1921, oversaw and permitted the implementation of segregation policies within various government departments as well, and the military. Despite Wilson's progress stance on certain domestic issues, his administration marked a regression in terms of racial equality. We kind of covered that when we talked about his 14 points. He didn't believe that Africans or Asians had the right to self-govern themselves. Just some things that we're kind of rehashing in this lesson. The reading isn't that big, so good. So we'll take our notes here, everything like that, and we'll have our 3 questions to go along with that. So our questions are: what does the Ku Klux Klan's march down Pennsylvania Avenue in 1926 suggest about the political and social climate in the United States at the time? Why did many African Americans leave the South during the Great Migration? Why did racial tensions rise during the 1920s? You're going to see some political support they had. You're going to see some social norms, and that's kind of like looking at all of the norms at the time. And a norm is like a sociological term for what is to be accepted at the time. And too many people were on board with the Ku Klux Klan's message. I mean, you had thousands walking down Pennsylvania Avenue. So, we're gonna see some shifts in everything too. I'm shocked that this was even allowed at the time, but that's the way it was back then. And that's why, when covering lessons like this, it's important to kind of show my students the importance of unity. It was one of Washington's warnings for our country that we stay, connected, that we stay together and never separate. And just completely disregard that. We had a civil war over this. We had all kind of segregation policies because we just would not listen to his last, warning for our country to always be united. It is important that we grow with every generation to make sure that everybody is accepted and treated equally. And this is just like a disclaimer I like to put on the lessons and everything like that to kind of, make sure everybody knows that they're important and deserve love. I think that's the message we need to send with these lessons. Students ask me all the time, why do we need to learn history? And it's so we don't repeat these mistakes that we keep making over time. We need to be better people, and we need to treat each other like people, despite differences and everything else. So Yeah, that's my disclaimer for this lesson. So we're going to investigate how the Great Migration influenced the Harlem Renaissance, and we're going to draw some conclusions on how migration patterns during this period affected labor markets in northern cities. Because now we're going to start seeing a lot of, freedmen start moving to the north in our country as well. And most importantly, our bell ringer for the day is going to, not our bell ringer, sorry, our exit ticket for the day is going to be the late 1910s and 20s brought a resurgence of the KKK and a spike in racial violence linked to events such as the Chicago Riot of 1919 and the Tulsa Massacre of 1921. How the aftermath, and that all goes to the question: how did the aftermath of World War I shape the United States' approach to global and domestic challenges? This one's going to focus on more of a domestic issue. So we'll kind of head that off for the next lesson. So with these next two lessons coming up, lessons 4 and 5, we're going to kind of take a break from United States, and we're going to kind of head off into something that is going to be a big issue for us going forward, and that's the Russian Revolution. So we're going to kind of leave the United States for a little while, go on a field trip, and see the stuff happening in Russia. Kind of started in World War I, everything like that. So that's going to be our next two lessons, and then our test and our performance test. So we got the Russian Revolution and the first Red Scare. So just a few things to kind of know leading off into that. So it's pretty much Russia from here on out for the rest of this chapter. So remember to grow your strong minds and your great hearts and whatever. And love yourselves, and definitely love each other. Both are important. Don't forget to love yourself as much as you love other people. You deserve it too. If you're not with us, I hope you're feeling better. I hope everything's okay. Hope to see you in class in the next lesson. Have a good day. Bye.